Oops. Wow, I hadn't noticed that it's already 2:09. Sorry about the wait. I was just checking up on my various booking, um, booking hotel rental. How are you guys doing? Happy Friday. Um, I think I unmuted myself, and if you cannot hear me or if Zoom is not working, let me know. This is my other class. So let me go to 1B and talk to you about week 4. Week 4, I also wanted to show you what the publisher Pearson has on the lesson, the short story that we're dealing with, that I said could be one of your choices for your fiction essay. So if you don't know what the fiction essay requires you to do, then you need to go back to week 3 and read this fiction essay instructions. Okay, so open it up right now for you. And the PDF indicates 3 choices. Excuse me. One of which is the lesson. Okay, this short story is called The Lesson. I'll be right back. And there are 2 choices on this short story, so it makes sense that you understand this short story now carefully by reading it only, not just only once, but read it maybe twice and understand it. It's short, should not take you too much time to read. So choice number 1 asks you to explore the themes, and if you recall, we looked at theme last week, right? That was part of last week module. There's a whole chapter dedicated on theme and plot. So you can apply what you've learned from that chapter 6 on theme when you choose to do this choice. But then also there's notice that there's another part here that asks you to explain how the themes you've selected from the lesson are relevant in our lives, not just your, but our lives. So collectively speaking, looking around you in the news, things that are happening in the city, things that are happening in your family, at school, with your friends, at work, things like that. So you definitely need to address that component as well after you have examined the themes. You also need to apply the PI essay structure here, okay? That you need a thesis statement, and each of your paragraphs in the body section of your essay needs to have a P, an I, and an E for PI, point, illustrations, explanation. So be following and applying the PI essay structure to the fiction essay. So the same thing is it is the same for number 2, but here you're explaining your exploring characters, and the lesson has several important characters that are round and dynamic, protagonist as well, and there's also an antagonist in this short story. So how are the characters important to the plot of the story? So your essay will explore that, and so you need to come up with a thesis statement that will address that part, and also why should we care about these characters? What do they represent? What do they stand for? Okay. So that's number 2. Number 3 is when you are writing your own short story. And it doesn't have to be a page long. If you want to write a longer short story, you can. But I wouldn't bend over backward to write a like a 10-page story. So that might not be good for your time. But I'm just letting you know that you have a lot of flexibility in terms of number 3, in terms of being creative. Okay? But on top of writing your own short story, or you have already written one short story before, then you can choose number 3 to explain how the themes you present in the short story and in your own short story reflect our lives today. Okay, so whichever choice you choose, you're gonna need to apply the pi essay structure with a thesis in it in the introductory paragraph somewhere. Okay, and the page requirements are below. Okay, and this is this part right here on quote shows you how to do the how to do embedding the quote or integrating the quote. So you don't want to just plop the quote inside the middle of your writing. You need to introduce the quote and then place the quote and then explain it and connect it back to your thesis statement, to your main point. So that's the fiction essay. The due dates are here. So this Sunday, we are submitting our pre-writing and outlining materials. So this is where you will submit it, this assignment right here, okay? So click on that, and then you'll be able to see a submit button here somewhere. And then click on that and submit your pre-write and outline fiction essay. You need both pre-write and outline. Without one or the other, you can only get half credit. You can handwrite when you do the pre-write and outline, but then to submit it, you will need to take a picture of your handwritten work. And like I've explained previously, you can use Google Drive and drag those pictures, those images onto a single Google Drive document, and then just submit that document, and I'll be able to view your work there. The purpose of having you do this first is for me to look at your work and give you an okay whether or not you are on the right track, and it also prepares you to like sort of like a poke on your shoulder saying, hey, it's time to work on your fiction essay. So that's those are the functions of this assignment here. You got quizzes this week as well, one on the lesson, the other one on chapter 2 point of view, another quiz on chapter 3, and these are due today by midnight. William Faulkner's A Rose for Emily, which is another short story that we're working with. But you should probably focus more on the lesson because the fiction essay is asking you to write about the lesson. This one right here. Okay. So you do need to submit the final draft of your response. Number 1, the first response, we did the pre-write last week. So you submit your final draft of the response number 1 assignment on the lesson here. So click on that button, excuse me. Many of you have submitted. Okay, so who's here that I can look at together? Theodore, haven't submitted. Guy, no. David, no. So let's just look at, let's see. Let's look at Elizabeth. Yeah, she's writing her response on the lesson. So, but it's only half a page. Okay, so I'm gonna push this back to her and say, you need the full page. Okay, so I'm gonna delete it. Without grading her work, I'm gonna have to tell her that, right? So that she can respond to me and submit a full page. Where's Elizabeth? Sorry, I don't know if this is dilated in profile. So I will do that later. But I was hoping to show you an example of a properly written response. But since no one is here who has submitted their response, I cannot show to you. I just forgot about the profile thing. So just do your best, and then I'll respond to you individually later with a grade, and then if you have questions, then you can ask me later. Okay. Any question on the response? What question do you have for this assignment? Don't be shy. Ask me questions. Okay. No question. Week 4 discussions forum right here. There are 3 tasks on this discussion, and looks like a few of you have responded, which is excellent. For the first one, you just pick any of these bullets, well, these questions right here, just one of them, and respond to the questions. Like, which characters does you or do you as the reader most identify with? Why? How does the use of first-person narrative work in conjunction with this strategy? If you don't like that question, maybe you can go to the next one. How would you characterize the story's diction? How is this style appropriate for the story? Does it read serious? Is there a lot of difficult words being used? Is it academic? Does it read like a children's story? And why is that style appropriate for the story? Okay, so you can choose that one if that one sounds like it's a good one for you. And then maybe this one on character. Why are Sylvia and Sugar so hostile to Mercedes? And if you have some insights on that question, you can also respond. So there are choices here for you. Then the next task is point of view and characters. So first look at this PDF that tells you more. It's like a summary of these 2 chapters. The first part is on the point of view. The author is the person actually who wrote the story, but the narrator is the person telling the story. And these two people are not. Sometimes they are not the same, and sometimes they are the same. Okay, so the narrator of the lesson might, well, I can tell you that it's not Tony K. Bambara. It's not the same person. So Bambara is the person who wrote it, but then the narrator is somebody else. Okay. Point of view is the way the narrator tells the story, and you have various points of view here. Okay. Participant, non-participant, innocent, unreliable, stream of consciousness, interior monologue. He, she, they are omniscient, and you got limited, omniscient, and then omniscient. And then first person, you, eyes, me, and we. And then there's also a few work of literature that uses the second person, you. Okay? And then this question here is asking you to look at the Lovely Bones. And if you've seen the movie, maybe you can take a look at some of the scenes there. So the narrator is I, so first person, but she's also the main character in this book and this movie. And she starts off the story with her already dead. So she's a ghost telling us her story. Okay. So what point of view is that? Discuss the point of view that you can see in the Lovely Bones. So you cannot find the answer to number 2 by looking at these slides. You have to actually think about it. But you need the basic knowledge of point of view to be able to arrive at the correct point of view in the lovely bones. And if you already know where it is, you can certainly tell us. Yeah, Teresa responds here. Well, she does mention innocent, and she's correct, but then she's missing a few important other points of view. I mean, other details about the point of view here. Let's see, Emmanuel. First person, yeah, it is totally first person, but it's omniscient, yes. So Emmanuel is correct. So the point of view I'm just gonna tell you now is first person omniscient, and that is possible because she already died, and she's a ghost telling us her story. Okay. So number 3 is asking you to choose and discuss the point of view for your top 3 all-time favorite movie, shows, or books. Then you're gonna need to identify the rank flat stock character in a literary favorite book of yours. So one of your favorites, and then you discuss those characters. Then I give an example here of Kathy Ames in East of Eden, and you can certainly apply your knowledge on round and flat and stock character. And this PDF tells you more of the types of character here: flat, round, static, dynamic, anti-hero, hero. Don't don't worry about this slide. It's just a slide that I didn't take off. This slide here is actually just something fun that I came up with that we came up with. Professor Salim and I thought that it would be fun to create a character, create your own character using this slide. Then we go to a Rose for Emily and the lit talk here. And that would be it. Rose for Emily has themes here that you can fill out, but I'm not asking you, I'm not requiring you to fill this out. But one of the themes in this short story is isolation, as I have indicated here. And this is another optional thing that you can think about, and I'm not requiring you to do this either. Is to build a Facebook account for Miss Emily Gerson, and doing this, and it will enable you to understand characterization more, and understand the short story A Rose for Emily more. Okay, so that short story is difficult, and many of my students in the past did not get A Rose for Emily. So we'll be spending more time between now and next week. If you have any question on A Rose for Emily, be sure that you let me know, but we'll look at this short story, A Rose for Emily, later together as well. It's going to be part of Week 5 Discussions Forum. But the last task here is a way for me to see if you know of any adaptations of these 2 famous short stories. They're really famous. So if you know of a Broadway production of either, or a movie production of either short stories, you can share your knowledge here. If you don't know, maybe you can do a simple Google search and see if you can find anything. And I did that, and I found that A Rose for Emily was made into a movie. And this is a still screenshot of the movie, okay? So that would be it for Week 4 Discussions Forum. Wow, look at all this work. You guys are amazing to me. You are generating a lot of materials for us to look at, which is excellent. So keep up the good work if you've been doing an excellent job on everything. The important things to know is the previous assignments, even though they're overdue, you can still submit them, including the diagnostic essay. So go ahead and submit your assignment, and I will still be able to grade uh, them and give you credit for doing them. Okay, but towards the end of the semester, just to forewarn you, especially after week 9 or 10, that's when I will start. I will stop accepting late work. So just be mindful of that. Right now, they're okay. I mean, submitting late work is okay still for me, from me. I'm distracted. Okay, so what question can I help you with so far with everything I've explained up to this point? You can type in your question or just say it. So no question then? Can somebody respond, please? So that I know that at least you're pretending to pay attention. Just kidding. All right. Thank you for responding. Next, I'm taking a class right now myself, learning how to do online classes better. And I gotta tell you that there are so many ways to involve students during a Zoom meeting, but I haven't been doing any of those ways. So next semester, when I teach it again, I will definitely have more people participate during a Zoom meeting. And that's it. If this is working out for you, if it's not working out for you, you should let me know. Okay. So I wouldn't like to find out later that you're suffering in silence and you got all these questions and you got all these confusions. Yet you're not asking me or letting me know. So you're still you become frustrated and whatnot. So don't let that happen to you. So please reach out and talk to me. See if I could help you with anything. Okay, the last thing that I want to leave you with is the literary devices refresher page with a handout and a website and 2 videos. So I also found this, recently I found this website, and I don't know if it's the one that I put up. Oh, this is just a website, a video. But I found this cool website that I thought it's comprehensive. So I'm gonna post it here, and I'm gonna add that to the page. We need to start learning literary devices. Be able to recognize them when we read literature, and when we write our essays. If we can discuss them, if we can discuss the literary devices, it would be a whole lot better. Okay. So where was that? Here we go. Okay, there you have it. Okay, so that would be it for week 4, and I know Mary Grace just joined us. So if you have any question at all, let me know. Okay, Mary Grace? Let me take attendance and then we will conclude our meeting this week because this is the last Zoom meeting for us this week. Next week, we started brand new, okay, brand new with week 5, and the first one is on Monday, like according to our syllabus. So let me see. David is here. Paul's here. Oops. It's okay. I'm glad you made it. Theodore and Di. Hey guys, does anyone have any last minute question now? You should be working on your quizzes because they're due today. Okay, there's this one, 3 quizzes, 4 quizzes. You got 4 quizzes waiting for you. In addition to the required readings, you should be looking at the lesson. Rosa Emily, these are 2 short stories. Submitting your response number 1 final draft. Submitting your responses to discussion forum. Submitting your pre-written outline material for the written essay. Look at literary devices. Actually, I just remember that I was gonna show this to you, share this with you. The publisher has made it impossible for me to share their content. Otherwise, oh my God, I have to log in again. Oh, I hate this. So bear with me and let me show you a video on the lesson, and I'm hoping that the video will help you with your fiction essay. So this is the publisher that gave me access, online access to additional materials that we have for our book. And with it, they included a video lecture series. So I'm gonna play it for you because I have this meeting recorded.
In 1972, Tony K. Bambara published The Lesson, a story with a political statement that is as relevant today as it was in the early 1970s. In the story, Miss Moore takes a group of kids on a field trip to FAO Schwartz on Fifth Avenue. While Sylvia, the narrator, tries to resist the lesson Miss Moore is showing them, she can't help thinking about it. Me and Sugar at the back of the train watching the tracks whizzing by large, then small, then getting gobbled up in the dark. I'm thinking about this tricky toy I saw in the store. A clown that somersaults on a bar, then does chin-ups just because you yank lightly at his leg. Costs $35. Asking my mother for a $35 birthday clown. You want a who that costs what, she'd say, cocking her head to the side to get a better view of the hole in my head. $35 could buy new bunk beds for Junior and Gretchen's boy. $35 and the whole household could go visit Granddaddy Nelson in the country. $35 would pay for the rent and the piano bill too. Who are these people that spend that much for performing clowns and $1,000 for toy sailboats? What kind of work they do and how they live and how come we ain't in on it? Where we are is who we are, Miss Moore always pointing out. But it don't necessarily have to be that way, she always adds, then waits for somebody to say that poor people have to wake up and demand their share of the pie. And don't none of us know what kind of pie she's talking about in the first damn place. The Lesson is a story about a group of African American kids whose worldview is altered by a trip to a toy store. But this is not just any world or any store. It's the late 60s, early 70s, New York, on the heels of the Civil Rights Movement. And the store is FAO Schwartz on Fifth Avenue, a decadent, expensive toy store on one of the wealthiest streets in America. The story is narrated by the stubborn, smart Sylvia. She often tries to defy Miss Moore, who lives in their neighborhood and takes it upon herself to give the kids educational lessons. When Miss Moore takes them to Fifth Avenue, she is showing them the difference between worlds and asking them to think about, quote, how money ain't divided up right in this country. Where we are is who we are, Miss Moore says. How might the statement apply to the characters in the story? How do setting and symbolism generate the story's themes? FAO Schwartz is symbolic of wealth and excess. While the idea of a toy store is accessible to the kids, The reality is not. There's a paperweight that costs $480, a toy sailboat that costs $1,195. The all that overcomes the kids is really their own awareness. Here is a world to which they do not belong. The disparity between rich and poor, white and black, Fifth Avenue and the quote slums is made poignant by seeing these kids being themselves, out of context. Their growing awareness and self-awareness is reflected in their sudden shyness. Surrounded by these expensive toys, which are not necessities, indeed the opposite of necessities, that cost more than she can understand, Sylvia is overcome with something she can't yet articulate. Beyond the initial awe and jealousy, Sylvia feels a sense of anger as when she wants to, quote, punch somebody in the mouth. When Sugar says, quote, this is not much of a democracy if you ask me, equal chance to pursue equal happiness means an equal crack of the dough, don't it? Sylvia stands on her foot to make her be quiet. But at the same time, she admits to herself that, quote, something weird is going on. I can feel it in my chest. Sylvia has made a short journey to and from Fifth Avenue, but figuratively, the journey symbolizes her progress toward awareness. At the beginning of the story, she doesn't, quote, feature when Miss Moore tells her, quote, we all poor and live in the slums. But by the end of the story, her growing awareness of real-life economic disparity is fueling her to, quote, think this day through by herself. Quote, ain't nobody gonna beat me at nothing, she says. This last statement is powerful, a refusal to accept the status quo. So what is the lesson of the story? Miss Moore challenges Sylvia to open her eyes, and she challenges us to open our eyes to how and why social and economic conditions exist. The lesson is not about desire and acquisition, but about what it means to examine inequality and boundaries of geography, class, and race. Toni Cade Bambara was born in 1939 and raised in Harlem, Bedford-Stuyvesant, and Queens, New York. She received degrees from Queens College and the City College in New York and became actively involved in the civil rights movement and the women's movement. In 1970, Bambara edited the anthology The Black Woman, a groundbreaking collection of feminist essays, fiction, and poetry by Black women writers. In 1971, Bambara edited Tales and Stories for Black Folks. This compilation of family stories draws on the tradition of African American folktales and oral culture. Bambara has said that she learned the power of words by listening to, quote, the speakers on Speaker's Corner in Harlem. In addition to living in New York, she also lived many years in the South, and her work is influenced by these locales, particularly in her use of dialect and her depiction of character. The voice of storytelling propels much of her work, including the story The Lesson. In 1972, Bambara published her first short story collection, Gorilla, My Love, to wide critical acclaim. Her subsequent fiction books include the story collection The Seabirds Are Still Alive and the novels The Salt Eaters and If Blessing Comes. Bambara saw no separation between art and politics. As her friend Toni Morrison, who edited Bambara's work at Random House, has said, quote, there was no division in her mind between optimism and ruthless vigilance, between aesthetic obligation and the aesthetics of obligation. There was no doubt whatsoever that the work she did had work to do. She always knew what her work was for. In addition to her writing and teaching, Bambara also delved into the genre of film. Her documentary projects include The Bombing of Osage Avenue, about the 1985 bombing of the Black organization MOVE in Philadelphia, and W.E.B. Du Bois, a biography in 4 voices. Toni Cade Bambara died of cancer in 1993. Her posthumous work is collected in Deep Sightings and Rescue Missions, fiction, essays, and conversations, ensuring her legacy as an American writer, storyteller, and truth teller.
Okay, I hope that was helpful for you. At least the second segment that I played on interpreting the lesson, while our fiction essay doesn't specifically ask you to dissect or to analyze the story at that level, you should be able to respond to the assignment using your analysis, your own analysis on either the themes or the characters slash plot put into our task description that we looked at, this one earlier, okay? Again, 3 choices for the fiction essay. Both the first 2 choices already are on the lesson, so I would carefully read and reread this story again so that I can write my own fiction essay. The formatting requirements here, it needs to be at least 4 pages or 5 pages. So roughly 5 pages would be good enough. You need to apply the pie structure. Just to reiterate what I said earlier, I will post this Zoom recording on my YouTube channel so that if you need to watch the videos I shared with you earlier today, you can. Earlier, just now, not today, but just now, right? So I just want to let you know that, just remind you that we have this playlist available, right? So those, especially those of you who haven't been doing any work because for whatever reason up to this point and you want to catch up, you should look at the previous Zoom recordings and check them out and see what you have missed. So I'll put up our recording today here that will have give you access to the videos, to these videos we just saw, okay, from the publisher, from Pearson. I'm gonna exit out though. That said, do you have any question for me at this point after you've seen that video or those videos? There were 3 videos. If not, then I will end the meeting, and you know how to reach me, okay? I got everybody, I think, who made it, who showed up today. Yeah. I couldn't make it yesterday for our scheduled meeting at 3 o'clock. I had a workshop to attend at Evergreen, so it coincided with the time that I scheduled for the meeting yesterday. So if you need my help later on, you just let me know, okay? And then I see what I can do. All right, thank you guys for participating. Oh, no, not participating, but for being here with me today. I'll talk to you guys later.